This lesson is on ratios. So the first question is, what is a ratio? So a ratio is actually a very simple thing. It's just a comparison of two values. So if you're comparing two numbers, that's called a ratio. So if you're given the quantities A and B, remember A can represent a number and B can represent a number, the ratio of A to B can be written in three ways. So here are the three ways we can write it. The first way is to write A to B. So I'm comparing the ratio of A to B. The other way that it can be written is like this, using colons. Now, if we were to say this, we say it the exact same way as the first one. We would say A to B. And then the last way that we can write a ratio is as a fraction. And again, if we were to say this, we would say A to B. All right, so those are the three different ways that you can write a ratio. Most of the time, you're going to see them written as a fraction because a lot of times you're going to want to do math with ratios. You're going to do things with them. And so it's easiest to work with them when they're written as a fraction. You can multiply them, you can divide them, you can add them, you can subtract them. So that's how you're going to see them most times. Now, this is really important. Like fractions, ratios should always be written in simplest form. So remember, whenever you have fractions, you should always simplify them because it makes your life easier and it makes it easier for other people to understand what you've done or what you've written. All right, so let's look at some examples. Write each ratio in simplest form in three different ways. So 15 girls to 24 boys. So let me start off by writing it as a fraction. So the ratio is 15 to 24. Now this can be simplified. I can divide each of these by 3. So let's divide them by 3 to simplify them. And so I get the ratio of 5 to 8. So that's one of my answers is 5 to 8. It says write it in 3 different ways. So I can write it that way. I can write it with the colons, 5 to 8. Or I can write it with the word 5 to 8. Okay, the key thing here is make sure you simplify it. Whatever comes first, so 15 girls is being compared to 24 boys, put the 15 on top in your fraction, okay? 18 snook to 6 redfish. If you're not from Florida, you might not know what a snook or a redfish is, but they're a very popular fish around here. So 18 to 6. That can be simplified by dividing both of these by 6. And so that's going to give me the ratio of 3 to 1. So that's one way to write it. The other way is with the colons. And then lastly, with the word 2. 3, 2, 1. All right. So again, ratios are a pretty simple thing. So given the word Massachusetts, find each ratio in simplest form. So vowels to consonants. So vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. So here's a vowel, here's another one, and there's one, and there. A, E, I, O, and U. So there are 4 of them. There are 4 vowels. And all the remaining letters are consonants. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 4 to 10. Let me just make sure there's 14 letters that I got this correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I miscounted somewhere. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It should fit to 9. So that's always a good practice, by the way, to do that on purpose. But I came up with there being 14 total letters, 4 vowels, and 10 consonants. So I just went back and I counted all the letters to make sure there are actually 14 letters, and I found out there were not. So I made a mistake. So it doesn't ask me to write this in 3 ways, but you could. So that's one way. And this can't be simplified any further, by the way. If it could, I should simplify it. All right, what about S's to total letters? All right, so let's count how many S's there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. This just happens to come out to the same answer as before. So there's, well, actually it doesn't, I take that back. There's 4 S's. And how many total letters? Remember, we counted them before. We came up with 13. So 4 to 13. Again, you can write it with colons or with the word 2. All right. So again, this is just a quick, easy introduction to ratios. They're not too bad. I hope you found this useful. And if so, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and feel free to leave me a comment. Until next time.